we can understand this, that it is the language of no hope, no hope. I am broken. My bones have been broken. I'm enclosed in every way. I can't get out. I'm prepared for judgment. That's the horror story that's already in the world. And you know, we are appalled by this because the churches are still in existence, and they're made of people that we know, people that we love, and I just can't get that out of my mind. But nevertheless, it is not just that the churches go along as they being a mighty force in God's whole plan of salvation, and then suddenly that's doom. You are going to judgment. It's not like that at all. It is like God now during this 22, 23 years of the Great Tribulation is telling us, I have a big thing that's going to happen, Judgment Day. It is very serious. It is very big, and I'm already preparing for that. The people in the churches are not going to suddenly be there. Most of them are already being prepared for that. They're already sentenced, because, of course, God knows which are the non-elect. And if you're not elect of God, there's no possibility you're ever going to become saved. Now, if there are any elect, of course, God can't bind them. But that's God's business. But with the language he's using, churches are a very awful place to be every time we look at it, from whatever vantage point we look at it. It goes on in verse 12, he hath bent his bow and set me, those are the churches, and also national Israel, as a mark for the arrow. Boy, it's like an assassination. You know, you are appointed to assassinate somebody, and finally you see him over there, and you train your gun on him. He's the one that's going to get shot because you are authorized to assassinate him. And this is exactly what the language God is using. It's my will, it's my plan that those in the churches are going to be destroyed. The arrow is pointed, the bow is pointed right at them. That's where the arrow is going to be. He has caused the arrows of his quiver to enter into my reins. Now, reins is an old English word for the very inside of us, right into our body. It could be the heart, it could be the kidneys, it could be the liver, it could be, but it's an arrow that's going to find its mark, and it's going to kill. It's going to kill. It's not going to be an arrow that just shaves by and takes off an ear. No way. It's an arrow that's going to penetrate and do its work. He hath caused the arrows of his quiver to enter into my reins. I was a derision to all my people, and their song all the day. Now remember, it's talking about the churches, and it's talking about the nation of Israel. I was a derision, and that word too could be pronounced, it's a preposition that can also be translated, I was a derision with all my people. And probably that's a little closer to what God is saying there. That is, the churches are a derision with all of my people, and their song all the day. There's an interesting verse in Psalm 19 that uses this word song, the same Hebrew word. Psalm 69 verse 12. In Psalm 69 verse 12, we read, "They that sit in the gate speak against me. I was the song," same word, "of the drunkards, of the drunkards. But as for me, my prayer is unto thee, O Jehovah, in an acceptable time, O God. In the multitude of thy mercy, hear me in the truth of thy salvation." And yet I was the drunkards, they who are scorning and who are scoffing and mocking God. To them I was. They made they made songs to ridicule and to this is the idea. I was a song. And notice when we go to the next verse, where it said, "I was," or "He hath filled me with bitterness. He hath made me drunken with wormwood." I was a song to the drunkards. He hath made me drunken with the made me, again, are the churches. And it's there. They are themselves scoffing and scorning and poking fun of what is holy. I still remember years ago when I was quite young, and I like to quip. You know, when I'm with friends and or in a meeting or something, I like to quip just to kind of lighten the atmosphere a little bit and not be quite as serious, because I can look very, very serious at times, and so I would quip. And I caught myself a few times. I was in the company of a lot of pastors at that time. I served on mission committees and various school boards of Christian schools and so on. And so I rubbed shoulders a whole lot. But I myself, a couple of times I found that I would make a quip about a church or something that related to the Bible. And I also found that afterwards I felt real bad about that, because I should never quip or speak in light terms about holy things like this. Then when I was in the company of these august pastors, these men of God, and I found that when they relax, and we'd have lunch together, maybe half a dozen pastors and me, I was the only layman amongst them, and I found that in their language they were pretty normal people, and they could make jokes about their church or about something in the Bible. And I remember I was really appalled by that more and more. How can this be? Of course, I can't change their life, but that's the way it was. And we should never do this. But here it's saying, when the church is really under the wrath of God, that's the kind of thing that happens. That's why pastors say they can deliver a sermon and have 15 jokes mixed into it, because this is very delightful to the congregation, thank you. And yet many of those quips are dealing with holy things where they should not trot at all. And that's exactly what the Bible is saying here. I was a derision with all my people, and their song, the song of drunkards, and the song that the drunkards have to do with those who have the right.